Hey YouTube, this is Philly J from Different Dimension Gaming coming at you with the Phantom Knights combo video. So just like last time, we're going to do two regular shuffled up hands, and then I'll show you what the perfect hand looks like, and I'll walk you through all the combos for each hand. With that being said, let's get going. I'm going to shuffle up our deck a little bit here. And we're going to let our opponent give it a cut, and we're going to draw for our turn. Draw Kagemusha Knight, Graph, Emergency Teleport, Droplet, and Emergency Teleport. So, this may look kind of like a bricky hand. It's not at all. So what we're going to do is, in the standby phase, we're going to activate E-Tele, chain E-Tele. We're going to summon from our deck our Psychic Tracker and our Psychic Wielder. I'll summon both in defense position, and then we will link both into our copy of Cherubini. And then we will activate Cherubini's effect to send our copy of, let's send Phantom Knights of Torn Scales to the graveyard to increase her attack by 500. Then we can normal summon our Graph to a zone that she points to, and then activate our Kagemusha Knight to special summon it. Remember that Cherubini protects the Graph because she points to it. And then we're going to link our Graph and our Cherubini into our copy of Rusty Bardiche. We're going to use Graph's effect to summon Seer from our deck, who will immediately destroy himself and summon Cherubini back from the graveyard. Now we're going to activate our Rusty Bardiche. We're going to send our copy of Ancient Cloak to the graveyard in order to set our copy of Shade Brigandine. Now we're going to banish the Ancient Cloak to summon, or to search from our deck our copy of Silent Boots. And then in a new chain, we're going to activate our Torn Scales to summon it back to the field. Now we can activate our Torn Scales to send our Silent Boots to the graveyard in order to send to the graveyard our copy of Stained Greaves. Now we can overlay these two into our copy of Breaksword, use the effect of Rusty to pop our Breaksword, use Breaksword effect to summon back Torn Scales and Stained Greaves as level 4s. Then we're going to activate our Silent Boots in the graveyard, banish it in order to grab from our deck our Rank Up spell. Now we can overlay our 2 level 4s into our copy of Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. And now we can set our Droplet and our Rank Up spell and pass to our opponent's turn. Now, this board doesn't seem like much, but it's actually quite a bit. So we've got a droplet, which we can use all 3 if we chain to our rank up spell. I don't know why, but off the rank up I always banish Graph. And that will summon into our copy of Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon. And then if we chain Droplet to our rank up spell, we can send Cherubini, the Shade Brigandine, and our rank up spell in order to negate 3 monster effects, and our opponent can't respond now. And off of that, now we have 3 more monster negates in our Dark Requiem, which can also bring back our copy of Breaksword. So it doesn't appear as much, but it's actually potentially 6 interruptions. So with that being said, let's shuffle up and try another hand. Alright, so let's get a bit more of a shuffle. And let's see what kind of hand we get. Oh, and we'll throw some cards all over the place. One more of those. Let our opponent cut our deck. And let's see. So we have a Ancient Cloak, Fusion Destiny, Rank Up Spell, Foolish Burial, and a second Fusion Destiny. Okay. So let's start with our Foolish Burial. And we're going to send to our graveyard a copy of our... Let's send the other copy of Ancient Cloak. And then we're going to just banish the Ancient Cloak to grab our copy of Silent Boots. Now we can normal summon our Ancient Cloak, special summon our Silent Boots, and link them into our copy of Cherubini. And then we can use Cherubini's effect. This time we're going to send our copy of Graph. I'm going to use Graph's effect to summon our copy of Seer from the deck. We're going to link these 2 into our copy of Rusty. And then Seer will bring back our Cherubini. Now, we can activate our Rusty Bardiche to send to the graveyard our copy of Torn Scales, to set, or actually we're going to set our copy of Fogblade, because we're not going to use the Shade Brigandine because we don't have access to our droplet. So we're going to activate our Silent Boots in order to add from our deck to our hand our copy of, let's grab Sword. And then on a new chain, we can summon our Torn Scales, activate our Torn Scales to discard our second copy of Fusion Destiny. And that will send to our graveyard a copy of, let's send our other copy of Fogblade. And we're going to do that so we can banish it and summon back our copy of Ancient Cloak. And since we haven't used Ancient Cloak, we can use the effect, turn it to defense, to increase our Rusty's attack by 800. Now we can overlay these 2 into our copy of Breaksword. Rusty, pop the Breaksword, summon them both back as 4s, overlay into our copy of Dark Rebellion. And we summon Dark Rebellion in defense mode just in case they are maining Lightning Storm. Now we can hit our Fusion Destiny, send our Celestial and our Dash Dasher. To summon our Phoenix Enforcer. Now, if you are afraid of your Cherubini being a problem, you can activate Phoenix Enforcer to destroy itself and the Cherubini, and Phoenix Enforcer will bring itself back in our opponent's standby phase. But we're going to set our rank up and our sword. Let this a shuffle. Let our opponent give it a cut. Make sure we've done all that we can do. Looks like we have. So we'll pass the turn there. Now, on our opponent's turn, we've got a monster negate, a bit of protection, a rank up. Again, my bad habit, always banish Graph. Into our Requiem. So at face value, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 interruptions, which is pretty good. Now, unless our opponent is on a spell-heavy deck, we're pretty much set to win the game. But let's play it out. So we'll activate our sword, target our Rusty. We'll activate our Fog Blade, target one of their monsters. We'll Phoenix Enforcer, pop itself and one of their cards. And we'll rank up into our Xyz Dragon, popping something else with our Rusty. So the turn comes back to us. We've got our 1 Cherubini and our Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon. And we're going to draw for turn. So we drew the Ash Blossom. That's not great, but we also have this in our standby phase. And actually what we can do is we can normal summon the Ash Blossom to activate our Celestial. Whoops. I will throw more cards. And then our Celestial will let us draw 2 cards. And now we've got extension. So we can... Actually, what we can do is we can link these 2 into our Nightmare Unicorn. Use a Unicorn to discard our Fusion Destiny. And then we can link our Unicorn and our Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer into our copy of Access Code Talker. Can access code, target the Unicorn. Maybe get rid of something on their field. What we can do is we can activate access code to banish the Unicorn to destroy the monster that is equipped with Fog Blade. And now that's out of the way. We've got our Reborn in our graveyard now. So if we activate the Fog Blade to bring back our copy of Breaksword, we can now push for game. And if somehow through all this our opponent isn't dead, we just go Downard, Zeus. So that's pretty good. Now for the best possible hand, we're going to want to open Fusion Destiny, Forbidden Droplet, Emergency Teleport, Silent Boots, Tour Guide. You want to normal summon the Tour Guide, activate her effect to summon Graph from the deck. Remember, she negates Graph's effect, so he does not destroy himself through his own effect. Link those 2 into our Cherubini. Graph effect Engrave to summon Seer from the deck. We're going to activate Cherubini. You don't have to summon Seer to the zone that Cherubini points to because you're only controlling Burning Abyss monsters, but I mean, it doesn't hurt. So we're going to Cherubini effect to send Torn Scales. Now, because of Cherubini's effect, you have to target one of your Burning Abyss monsters to gain an attack. The cool thing is that Cherubini sends for cost, So we don't really care which one we boost because we're going to link them both away right away anyways. Let's say that she boosts herself now. She's at 1100 attack. We're going to link these two off into our Rusty Bardiche. Sear effect is going to bring back Cherubini. And then we're going to activate Rusty's effect to send our Cloak to set our Shade Brigandine. Then we're going to activate our Cloak to add our copy of Stained Greaves from our deck to hand. Then in a new chain, we're going to activate our Torn Scales to summon it back. We're going to activate the effect, discarding our Stained Greaves, and then chain Emergency Teleport to chain block our Torn Scales just in case they haven't used their Ash by this point. So Emergency Teleport is going to summon our copy of Tracker, and Torn Scales is going to send our copy of Boots. Now we're going to activate our Shade Brigandine, and we're going to link it with our Tracker in order to summon IP. Now we're going to special the Silent Boots from our hand and overlay it with our Torn Scales into our Breaksword, Rusty's effect to pop the Breaksword, and summon back our copy of Torn Scales and our Silent Greaves. Then we're going to overlay those two into our Dark Rebellion. We're going to activate Silent Boots effect to add our rank up spell. Now we're going to activate Fusion Destiny to send our Dasher and our Celestial in order to summon our Phoenix Enforcer. Now, we have 2 cards left in hand. We're going to set them both and pass turn to our opponent. Now, the only weakness at this point in our board is Nibiru. Because if let's say that they go to their turn, they go straight into the battle phase, we know it's evenly matched. So what we can do is we can activate our Phoenix Enforcer to destroy itself and anything else we have on the field. And destroy itself and let's say our Rusty Bardiche. Then we can chain our IP and use that to link with our Cherubini. And we're doing this to get stuff in the graveyard rather than have it all be banished face down. We're going to our Nightmare Unicorn, and then Phoenix Enforcer to destroy itself and our Rusty. And now we know that we're going to be hit with the evenly matched. So when they activate the evenly matched, we're going to chain our Rank Up Magic Force, go into our Requiem, by, of course, banishing our copy of Graph. And now we can let these 2 cards get banished face down. And this is only if they have evenly matched. And we've still got our 3 negates on the field, and we've got our DPE coming back in the standby phase. And don't forget, when this negates a monster's effect, it destroys it, and it summons our Breaksword back from the graveyard. So just this 1 card on the field is 3 negates and an extender. But if they don't do that, we've got how many interruptions? Well, we would have 2 off of our Droplet, because we're going to chain our Droplet to our rank up to send Cherubini and the rank up, which gives us 2 negates. We've got 1 more off of our Phoenix Enforcer. We've got 1 off of our Rusty when we summon Requiem. we've got kind of an interruption with our IP, and Requiem on its own is 3 negates. So we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, potentially 8 interruptions on our opponent's turn. Now, last I checked, opening hand was still 5. And if we've got 8 interruptions, that means we've won the game. Now, again, I think the Horus package is stronger overall, but it doesn't give you as much versatility. Because while it's more controlled and more linear and you get access to stuff like rank 8s, it doesn't give you the DPE, the droplet, the Requiem, the follow-up, the IP. So really it's a matter of which version you want to build, which version you're more comfortable with. This deck is, at this point for me, perfect. For my playstyle, this is exactly what I want. So let's say they hit us with the evenly matched. Go into our unicorn. This pops itself in this. These go to grave. Summon this guy, and the unicorn gets banished face down. So, we're going to give ourselves a shuffle and a cut. Let's see what happens on the crackback. Let's assume that our opponent activates a monster effect. Because, I mean, they always do. We're going to detach our Torn Scales, because Torn Scales is the one we want in the graveyard. And then on our standby phase, after we summon back our Break Sword, in the standby phase, we're going to draw for turn our Tsuchinoko. Our Phoenix Enforcer is going to bring itself back. And now we can use Dasher's effect in the draw phase. Because we drew a monster, we can use Dasher, special summon it, and then because we have no cards in our hand during our main phase, we can activate Celestial to banish itself, and we get to draw 2 cards. So from here, we can pretty much just go straight to the battle phase. We can attack, 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 possibly use the effect, destroy the Tsuchinoko, possibly 1 card on their side of the field. And then main phase 2, we can just go Downard and Zeus. And we're going to summon Zeus in the extra monster zone because some card effects only destroy cards in the main monster zones. So we're taking a page out of the Cashtira playbook, because they would always summon their Arise Heart in the extra monster zone. And now we've got the Ash Blossom, we've got our Torn Scales for follow-up. We haven't normal summoned yet, so we can still normal summon, get some stuff going. We can also search one of our spell traps with our effective Boots, and then which would give us an extender with Torn Scales. So realistically, if they somehow survive the battle phase on our second turn, or they survive their first one without just scooping it up, you've got enough extension to interrupt them all over again on their turn. This deck's pretty neat, guys. I am such a fan of this deck, and I hope that you've all enjoyed the combo tutorial. Next week, we've got Red Dragon Archfiend, and then I'm not sure what's going to come after that. So stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.